It's draft day here at Offsides. We're bringing you everything you need to know ahead of the 2021 NFL Draft. Hello and welcome to the Offsides Season 28 finale. I'm Daniel Maltz.
And I'm Nick Bornstein. I'm happy to say that for our last show of the 2021 school year and my tenure on Offsides, we have a great show planned with 4 action-packed NFL draft-focused segments coming your way.
Well, Nick, I sure can say that I'm glad we're going to be closing out this season with a bang. And we're starting it off with a top 10 mock draft where our analysts will break down what each team picking 1st through 10th will do with their picks.
Then I'll sit down with our QB expert Harrison Friedman to break down the 5 big quarterback prospects, and afterwards Owen Gunn will highlight the strengths and weaknesses of the big 3 wide receiver prospects.
And to close it out, we've got our first Shot Clock Showdown of the season. Paige Martner and our 2 panelists will break down what 5 teams picking 11th through 20th will do with their picks. Take a player, trade up, or trade down. You won't want to miss it.
All this and more, the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft is officially open. Go long, Daniel.
Good throw, Nick. Welcome to the 2021 Offsides NFL Mock Draft. Today I'm wearing 2 hats, host of the show and commissioner for our draft. Today I'm joined by Seth Hellman and Matteo Venieri, who are going to go back and forth making the first 10 picks of the upcoming draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the first pick. And with the first pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback Clemson.
Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 overall. There's no doubt about that. He's the best quarterback prospect in this class, and he's probably the best overall prospect in this class. He threw for over 10,000 yards in college. He was extremely efficient, 90 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and he's a mobile threat. My only concern is that Jacksonville doesn't have the good offensive talent around him that he's going to need to succeed, but there's no doubt about it. The Jags are taking Lawrence number 1.
No surprise there. The number 1 prospect goes number 1 overall. Now, with the second pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Zach Wilson, quarterback BYU.
All the experts seem to agree that Wilson is a lock at number 2, so I'm not going to overthink this. Wilson showed at BYU that he has a complete set of skills, and the Jets see him as the franchise quarterback they have been chasing since Joe Namath had long, luscious hair. The challenge for Wilson will be to be ready from day 1 against far better competition and under much more scrutiny. The potential is definitely there. Plus, they say that Wilson thrives in chaos, and boy, he will find plenty of that in New York.
The Zach Wilson hype train arrives at its destination, New York. Next, with the 3rd pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Mac Jones, quarterback Alabama.
Mac Jones is going to go number 3 overall, and the 49ers are going to mess up this pick. He was great in college last year, throwing 41 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions, but he had 2 of the best wide receivers in this year's draft class. George Kittle is going to be his only weapon in San Francisco, given how inconsistent Deebo Samuel can be. Plus, Alabama quarterbacks rarely succeed at the professional level.
Shanahan and GM John Lynch get their guy. The Atlanta Falcons have traded the 4th pick to the Denver Broncos. And with the 4th pick, in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
I know that trading up is a bit of a gamble because it's possible that Justin Fields could fall in Denver's lap at 9. However, after Osweiler, Lynch, Simeon, and all the bad decisions the QB department since Manning retired, here the Broncos, no price is too high to finally secure your franchise quarterback. And I think Justin Fields is the answer. In Denver, he will find a set of weapons that Drew Lock did not know how to use and that will make Fields' transitions to the pros even smoother.
4 QBs and 4 picks. Love it. Next up, with the 5th pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Penei Sewell, tackle, Oregon.
Penei Sewell is a monster. He's 6'6", 330 pounds, and according to Pro Football Focus, didn't give up a single sack on 491 passing snaps in 2019. Joe Burrow got injured on a sack last year, tearing his ACL, so the Bengals are going to need to help protect him moving forward.
Top O-line prospect to protect Joe Burrow. Solid choice. Next, with the 6th pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida.
The Dolphins need help in the trenches pretty badly, but after already trading down for number 3, they have to select Pitts here. No matter if you want to call him a tight end or wide receiver, he's a special athlete with great hands and speed who can be a mismatch nightmare all across the field. He won't protect Tua strictly as a blocker, but he will help him tremendously with his ability to catch anything thrown his way.
Arguably the number 2 prospect in the entire draft class stays in the Sunshine State to play alongside Tua. Next, with the 7th pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Ja'Marr Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
Ja'Marr Chase here is a no-brainer for the Detroit Lions. They lost Kenny Golladay in free agency to the New York Giants, and they're going to need new weapons for Jared Goff. He's an unbelievable athlete. So fast, so agile, amazing vertical, and he can catch just about anything, similarly to Kyle Pitts. The only issue here is that his route running could use some improvement, but he's going to be a great pick here for the Lions at 7.
First wide receiver off the board, off to be Jared Goff's new number 1 receiver. With the 8th pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Rashawn Slater, tackle, Northwestern.
I don't know if Sam Darnold is going to be a franchise quarterback in Carolina for years to come, but making sure he finally gets protection in the pocket is certainly a good start. Enter Rashawn Slater, who could immediately start left tackle from day one. Slater is a strong, athletic grown man with quick hands and quick feet who can play multiple positions on the O-line. He did sit out last season, but when last seen, he dominated Chase Young, and that's the kind of film that makes you an early pick.
Building up the O-line for Darnold, it can only help. The Atlanta Falcons are at it again, trading the 9th pick to the New England Patriots. And with the 9th pick in the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Devontae Smith, wide receiver, Alabama.
If Justin Fields does go 4th overall, this is going to be the only move that the Patriots can make. I'm not high on Trey Lance, so I don't think there's another quarterback in this draft that would be available come 15 that's going to help the Patriots. Julian Edelman just retired, making an already weak wide receiver core even weaker. The quarterback future is up in the air in New England, but I don't think that there's a guy that's going to be available for them that's going to fix that, which means that the best thing that they can do is take who I think is actually the best wide receiver in this draft class, Devontae Smith.
Trading up for the 2020 Heisman winner, another weapon for Cam Newton, a stunner here on Com Ave. Lastly, with the 10th pick of the 2021 Offsides NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Patrick Surtain II, defensive back, Alabama.
Last season, Pro Football Focus ranked the Cowboys secondary 29th, the nadir of an already below average defense. And that's why they need Surtain. He has size, speed, athleticism, and is a good fit in Dan Quinn's cover 3 defense, where he will play opposite of his former teammate at Alabama, Trevon Diggs. Surtain might not be a sexy pick for Jerry Jones, but he's a necessary piece to fix a glaring hole in Dallas.
So, Trey Lance falls out of the top 10, and the Pats trade up. What a top 10 this would be. Now let's send it back to Nick Bornstein for a deeper dive into the 5 big QB prospects. Nick, can you get open, please?
There's little debate to be had about which 5 quarterbacks stand alone at the top of this draft class. These 5 could very well all be taken within the top 5 or 6 picks. Harrison Friedman and I are going to take a deep dive into each of these players, discussing their collegiate careers and touching on their strengths and weaknesses. Just to start us off, talk to me about the undisputed number 1 pick, Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, when you're getting comps to Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, that's a pretty good thing. He does pretty much everything you might want in a quarterback, in the sense that he can throw the ball all the way down the field. He's super accurate. He won the title as a true freshman, and he's also got pretty great hair. He makes plays with his legs. He seems like a true leader, both on and off the field. So, he's been projected as the number 1 pick in this draft for 3 years, like Andrew Luck was. And, he seemed to be pretty good. Peyton Manning seemed to be pretty good. He's as sure of a thing as they're going to get.
One of the things I like most about him, and you said sure thing, he knows he's a sure thing. He's not doing the, oh, I have a chip on my shoulder, or oh, I've been doubted my entire life. He's the best player in the draft by far, and he knows it. Moving to Zach Wilson, I think I'm higher on him than a lot of people are. I keep having these worries that because he went to BYU, sort of a lesser-known football school, that he's going to be like Drew Lock, who went to Missouri. Now, you've got a lot to say about that, so why don't you start there?
Ignoring the Mizzou slander, which, Chase Daniel has at least done well for himself, if not well as a quarterback, throwing 30 balls in his career. Getting back to the draft, you're high, like a lot of people, on Zach Wilson. He's probably going to go number 2 overall to the Jets, so at least the Jets are pretty high on him. He is the example of a kind of guy who, sort of like Joe Burrow, worked his way around from being a complete afterthought to he finally got enough time, he was finally healthy, he worked, he watched a ton of film, put the work in, and he can throw a ball. His placement is like nobody else's. And yeah, while it's true that a lot of his throws are outside the numbers, and he can't really go over the middle of the field that well, which is kind of a necessity in today's NFL. That's where most of the throws are. He's still going to be really good, and he is, like Lawrence, he's a legitimate leader.
I'm convinced. But you know who I'm not convinced about? Mac Jones. I don't get it. I don't get why teams are trading up for him. I don't get why he's so overhyped when he played with the Heisman winner and another great receiver opposite him. What is the strength to Mac Jones? What is the reason that a team like the 49ers might be planning to take him so high?
There is so much that's been mixed on Mac Jones. You have people saying that he reads the game better than anybody else. He also played with Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, who one of them is the Heisman one, the other might be the first receiver taken. But at the same time, you have guys saying, oh, Mac Jones can't even throw a deep ball. Maybe those guys were going to get open regardless, but he made those throws. He made those connections. So he's a great leader. He's a really fun personality. His nickname is the Joker and not like Jokic because it just sounds like it. And his athleticism, it's clearly like a step or several steps below the other quarterbacks we're going to talk about. But he's a good decision maker. It's just he's getting overhyped, and I don't know, maybe Kyle Shanahan really wants him. That might be all there is.
One of the things that's most surprising to me about his rise up all the draft boards is that it's come at the expense of Justin Fields, who I think has been totally overlooked for how amazing he played in the college football playoff games. He's a great talent. I think he's really being unfairly maligned because of juvenile commentary about past Ohio State quarterbacks. What are GMs and draft officials missing when they talk about this guy?
This guy is not Dwayne Haskins. He was with Trevor Lawrence. They were like the 1 and 2 in their high school classes, and they've been 1 and 2 on draft boards all the way until Zach Wilson got here. The Mac Jones stuff, the Justin Fields thinking doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's like they all saw that Northwestern game where he threw a bunch of picks and they still won the Big 10 championship anyway, and they decided he was a fraud. With Fields, you saw how tough he was against Clemson. And yeah, he wasn't facing the kind of pressure that Trevor Lawrence was in that game, and that's part of the reason why they won. But he was also facing a ton of pressure from Bama, unlike Mac Jones, and that's why they lost the championship. And so what I really disagree, though, is when people say that he can't go through his progressions, because actually, every time he went through his progressions, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. I would say NCAA. But the thing that he also said, which is I think a really important quote, is he played in such a talented offense, so he's basically throwing to the first or the second read most of the time. When Mac Jones had to throw to his second read, he wasn't doing well. When Justin Fields he was doing great. He should go ahead of Mac Jones.
Exactly. And just to wrap things up, let's talk about Trey Lance. Honestly, I'm probably the least equipped to talk about him. When I watch highlight films or YouTube videos, he looks great, but I can't say that I watched a lot of his college games. I didn't really watch any FCS games. What does Trey Lance bring to the table?
We don't quite know enough. The issue with Trey Lance is that he played just one game this past season. And yeah, for an offensive tackle like Penei Sewell playing 0 games this year, it doesn't matter. But for Lance, not playing against the highest competition, he still has the full package. People were talking him up as a possible top 5 pick. It's quite possible he goes number 4, maybe even number 3 in this draft. But he's been great because he's got all the traits. He's got the huge arm. He can make plays with his legs. He can expand the pocket. The only thing he doesn't have perfectly down is accuracy. But as we've seen with guys like Josh Allen and, dare I say it, Patrick Mahomes, you can teach accuracy in the NFL as much as they've said you can't. So I think he's the kind of guy, he sits for a year and maybe under a better quarterback, but he should be really, really good in the NFL.
I mean, we've seen it work before, right? When you take a project guy like that and you have him study under a veteran, and then take the leadership role, and he's got the veteran leadership qualities and some of the skills that he needs to succeed in the NFL. I don't think there's any reason Trey Lance won't be able to do that too. Harrison, thank you for joining me. Let's toss it over to Owen for an in-depth look at the draft's top 3 wide receivers.
Thanks, Nick. In the first round of last year's NFL draft, 7 impressive wide receiver prospects went off the board. While these pass catchers received a lot of hype going into the draft, only Justin Jefferson was able to consistently stand out in the 2020 season. Last year, Henry Ruggs was the first wide receiver taken at number 12 overall by the Raiders. This year's draft features 3 wide receivers that could all be off the board by then. Of course, that's not a guarantee given this year's talented pool of quarterbacks, but Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith are each game-breaking players capable of greatly enhancing an NFL offense. Jamar Chase should be the first wide receiver off the board due to his all-around athleticism and his ability to go up and make contested catches. In his sophomore season at LSU, Chase thrived alongside Joe Burrow and led all of college football in both touchdown catches and receiving yards. More importantly, Chase was clutch when it mattered most and helped the Tigers secure their 4th national championship. The Bengals could very well reunite Chase with Burrow, but if Cincinnati passes on him at number 5, there's little chance Detroit will pass on him at 7. In addition to Chase, the duo of Alabama wide receivers in Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle have a lot to offer, and these two will have their NFL offensive coordinators licking their chops. Devontae Smith was Mac Jones' most reliable target, and in 2020, he earned a Heisman Trophy due to his explosiveness and high-level route running. Smith is a dangerous receiving threat in both the slot and on the outside. In 2020, Jones and Smith would connect early and often and frequently help the Crimson Tide put games away before the first half even ended. If Smith is available when Carolina picks 8th, expect the Panthers to pounce on this dangerous potential weapon for Sam Darnold. Waddle, meanwhile, was a big part of Alabama's success, but received a lower volume of target share than Smith. Waddle is always a threat to make a big play and is excellent at gaining yardage after the catch. If the New York Giants can get their hands on him with the 11th pick, they will jump at that opportunity without hesitation. This year's wide receiver pool looks just as deep as last year's, and once again, there are 3 outstanding players that could easily go in the top 15. Regardless of where they get drafted, it's clear that Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle can instantly help turn their franchises around. Now let's send it over to Paige Montner for our NFL Draft Shot Clock. Paige?
Welcome to the 2021 NFL Draft Shot Clock Showdown. I'm Paige Montner. Today our analysts Joe Pohorilis and Tyler Carroll are going to be talking about 5 teams picking in the middle of the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft. They'll decide if each team should stay put to pick a player, trade up, or trade down, and I'll decide who is more convincing. Whoever gets the most points at the end is the winner. Ready, guys? Even after appearing to tank their last game of the season, the Eagles traded back for a lower pick. Guys, do you believe they should stay in their current position? And if so, who should they be looking at?
The Eagles clearly need pass catchers, but with such a deep receiver class, I think Philly should use the 12th pick to bolster their shaky secondary. With division rivals threatening with Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, and now Kenny Galladay, Darius Slay will have his hands full. Take Patrick Surtain, arguably the best corner prospect in this draft, rather than the 3rd best receiver. Philly can address the pass catchers on day 2, where guys like Rondale Moore and Terrace Marshall may still be available at 37.
The Eagles already traded down for this pick when they sent the 6th overall pick to Miami at the end of March. So I see them staying put here at number 12 and taking Devontae Smith out of Alabama. Smith had arguably the best season of any college wide receiver ever. The Eagles haven't had a Pro Bowl wide receiver since 2013 with Deshaun Jackson. This pick makes too much sense, and obviously the Eagles think their guy will be here since they traded down for this pick already.
I think I'm going to have to go with Joe on this one. The Eagles took a wide receiver last year in the first round, and I think they need to focus on their secondary. Joe, you get the first point. Next question. Despite re-signing Cam Newton, there are still plenty of questions surrounding the Patriots' long-term quarterback situation. Should they resolve it during the draft? Do they need to trade up to get their guy?
Yeah, the Pats may be rolling with Cam in 2021, but they will need a plan for the future. Justin Fields' stock is inexplicably tanking, and Bill Belichick and company can capitalize. It seems as if Fields should be around beyond the top 5, meaning New England doesn't have to sell the farm to get the Ohio State star, who passed for 2,100 yards, 22 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions in 8 games last season. Unlike Mac Jones and Trey Lance, Fields is a 2-year starter and that extra experience will make the NFL transition much easier.
Look, yes, the Patriots need a quarterback, and yes, New England fans aren't used to having a question mark in the pocket. With Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance all projected to be top 5 picks, I think Belichick's going to trade up and take Mac Jones early in the first round. I mean, think about it. A patient pocket presence with excellent field sense. Remind you of anybody? Also, Jones' stock is rising fast. Maybe by draft day, the Patriots will have to trade up to get their man.
Joe, I think you're right on this one. The Pats don't usually trade up, but I think if they were, it would be to take Fields. He's a decorated college quarterback, kind of reminds people of Cam. Joe, you get another point. Moving on, it's been an eventful offseason for the Raiders so far as they've traded a starting O-lineman and added some offensive playmakers. But there's still more to be done as we head into the draft. Guys, what are your thoughts on what the Raiders should do?
Well, you mentioned it, Paige. After trading away 3 starters on the offensive line, Vegas can't afford to take a spin on the roulette wheel. Stay put and try to build that front back up. USC's Elijah Vera Tucker is a day 1 starter that can play both inside and outside, making him the perfect prospect for Gruden to plug in anywhere. Vera Tucker will immediately improve an O-line that ranked 9th worst in the league last year, according to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, but look, the Raiders' defense were 3rd in the league in points against per game last season and 8th in yards against per game. A 17th overall pick probably isn't going to fix that alone. The Raiders should trade down here for more picks and or defensive starters to address the state of their abysmal defense. Specifically, their secondary could use multiple upgrades before 2021 kickoff.
It's tough because the Raiders play in the same division as Mahomes and Herbert, so they need defense. Tyler, I'm going to give you the point on this one. It's 2-1 here in the studio. Next question. The Dolphins will go into the 2021 NFL Draft with 2 first-round picks. Joe, let's start with you. What's your prediction?
I expect Miami to target Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase with their first pick, making the offensive line and defensive lines their next priorities. There should be intriguing options at 18, but if the opportunity presents itself, collecting more picks will put them in a position to make a huge splash down the road. Alabama defensive tackle Christian Barmore should still be there at the end of the first round, so to nab him and more picks would be a major win for the present and future.
Yeah, I agree. The Dolphins are in an interesting place here at number 18 because they do also have that pick number 6 from the Eagles trade earlier. Depending on who they select with number 6, I see them staying put at number 18 and targeting Kwity Paye, edge out of Michigan. This power edge rusher would fill an important need at an important position for the Dolphins and would allow them to continue to address the offense on day 2. That said, if the Dolphins are going to go defense with pick 6, they could look at offensive prospects with number 18.
Again, I think I would agree with you, Tyler. Last year was a big step forward for them, and this year they have a chance to really be good if they get a good player at 6. So I think the Dolphins should stay put and take the best guy. Looks like we're in a tie. Now on to the last question. Washington has done a good job in the offseason building towards a potential 2nd straight NFC East championship. But as the draft is approaching, Washington has a chance to be more than just a playoff team. Joe, what are your predictions?
Washington could trade up for a quarterback, but with Ryan Fitzmagic holding down the fort in 2021, it is not an immediate concern. Instead, Washington should build up their assets and trade back, ideally in the mid-20s to take Kentucky linebacker Jamin Davis, which would fill a major need on defense. By pocketing more picks, it should make things easier to trade up next year to get the quarterback of the future, unless Taylor Heineke can get the job himself.
Yes, but the Washington defense is just one piece away from having a championship caliber unit. I see them staying put at number 19 and taking linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from the University of Notre Dame and addressing the weakest position of their defense. Before free agency, many were speculating that Washington would look offense here, but after signing Ryan Fitzpatrick for quarterback and Curtis Samuel for wide receiver depth, I think the team will use this pick to bolster an already solid young defensive unit.
Look, Washington just won their division. I don't see why you would want to mortgage your assets. You're trying to win now. That being said, I agree with Tyler on this one. And with that, Tyler's our winner and taking home the NFL Draft Shot Clock Trophy. Congratulations. Nick and Daniel, back to you.
Thanks, Paige. That's all we've got for the Offsides Season 28 finale. Nick, you've been a producer of Offsides for more than 2 years now, and I can certainly say that while it is sad to see your time come to an end, you've helped put together 5 amazing seasons of Offsides, and we are going to miss you.
I really appreciate it. My 8 seasons of Offsides, 5 as a producer, have flown by, and it's been an absolute honor to work with such a talented group doing my favorite thing in the world, talking about sports.
Well said, Nick. If you're interested in joining our crew for the upcoming Season 29 and beyond, be sure to email us at offsides@butv10.com. And be sure to give us a like on Twitter and Instagram at Offsides10.
On behalf of our entire cast and crew, thank you very much for watching today and all season long. We'll see you in the fall.